Hi, and welcome to K2C. If you're here today, it's because you've purchased one of our kits, and we're going to show you how to put it together. Today we're going to be putting together our string trees. Let's start by unpacking our kit. You should have a cone that is already wrapped in saran wrap, a bowl, glue, an extra piece of saran wrap, which I'll be addressing this in a moment. There's the string for the trees. We have some embellishments, little rhinestones, rubber gloves, and then you also will have two the LED tea lights that you can put underneath your tree when you're all done, just like this one. And this is one of our finished trees right here. You can see it has the rhinestones. And then you also have a craft stick. Saran wrap, you can use your own, but we wanted to include everything in the kit, and it does pull apart. It is possible to unfold it, so to speak, so you can wrap your cone again to make your second string tree. So you're also going to need scissors and 2 tablespoons of water. Now I'm actually using a smaller bottle of glue right now just for the demonstration. This is 4 ounces. You've been given an 8-ounce bottle, so put about half of the bottle into your bowl. You really don't need all of this. We have found that, and we may reduce the size of our kits in the future, but the ratio is 4 to 1. So we have a couple tablespoons here of water that we've poured in with our 4 ounces of glue, excuse me. And it does not really have to be that exact, as long as it's not just glue straight out of the bottle. It needs to be watered down just a little bit. You're going to want to protect your surface. It really can be just about anything that works for you. You can use newspaper, tin foil, this is parchment paper, any of that works as long as you're protecting your surface. But this does get kind of messy, so just be aware of that ahead of time. All right, so we're going to start with our burgundy tree today. Note to self, take the tape off before you put on your gloves. It's a little easier that way. And we've tried a few different ways to try to make this work. We've looked a lot of different directions online, but what I'm finding is that instead of submerging the string in the glue, which you'll see a lot, if you just put some on your fingers and just run it over a section of the string, it works much better. So the first thing you're going to want to do is about 1 inch or 2 down from the tip is just stick that on there. And then what I do is I kind of grab it on both sides, and then I come back up and I'm going to wrap it around using some X's at the top just to get it started.
Are you rolling the cone around to get the string on, or are you applying the string on the cone? Which way are you doing it?
A little of each, just because of the angle I'm at. Sometimes it's easier sometimes if I turn the cone, and other times I've found it's easier if I'm wrapping. I'm going to twist it just so you can kind of see. I'm going diagonally down. Just making sure I have that. Diagonally down the cone, kind of spiraling. Once I've got it down to, in this case, I'm about 1/2 inch from the bottom. I just want it to stay about that distance from the bottom all the way around, because it will make your tree stand up straight. If your bottom layer or your bottom strings are at more of an angle, then your tree is going to be tilted a little. I'm also taking it around a couple times, 2 or 3 times, to kind of create that base. All right. So I've just made sure I have a foot or two here that I've run my fingers along. You don't want it dripping wet, but you definitely want it to be coated. Now that I've gone around the bottom a couple times, I'm going to start working my way back up. And you can see it's kind of creating these crisscrossed strands. And
do I leave the string all together, or if I cut it, will it still work?
so occasionally, and this we did discover that it is easy for this string, which is actually called crochet thread, if you're looking to get some later to do this activity again, but it tangles very easily. So if you feel like you have a knot and you need to, you got a tangle or something and you need to cut it, or if you would just like to work with a smaller piece of thread, you can cut it and still get the same effect. I'm going to bring this one over. This is our dried one. This one was actually cut into a few pieces and then put on the cone. I didn't use as much thread, and that's something else you'll notice. The difference between this one and our other green one is I chose to have less thread, and I used a lot more of the provided thread in that one. And I've gotten all the way to the top, so now I'm going to start working my way back down. And here's how I think this is easier than twisting it. But then as I get going along, I'm kind of afraid that there's going to be a lot of big open spaces, so I do find myself twisting. All right, so we're about at the point where we're going to stop. Wrap it around a couple more times up here, and then I'll make sure I have a little bit of excess. I'm going to cut that. I'll go over what we'll do with our excess here in a moment. And then I'm just going to wrap it. And there you go. I'm double checking my bottom to make sure it's parallel. You can see it's kind of actually moved up, and that's just from the tension from putting this together. I did go back and add another base just because it kind of got crooked from getting moved around. And then just to be safe, I'm looking for any spots that could be dry. If you did not squeeze out enough glue as you were going along, the result is that in between your strands there can be glue that dries, and you can see that when you pull it off. And you can always just kind of take your craft stick and knock that glue out, but be very careful not to separate the strings while you're doing that. In this case, I felt like I almost went a little light on the glue, but if you use too much, just take a paper towel and wrap it around there, or some tissue of some sort, and just kind of blot it and blot off any extra glue.
I noticed that you have a lot of string left over.
Yes, and this is actually to your guys' advantage, because I didn't use enough string. We wanted to make sure you had more than enough string. You really almost have enough on here to do another one. Check to make sure that this doesn't have a lot of glue on it here, because it'll solidify and you won't be able to use it. I tried to hold it off to the side and just pull on the string when I needed some, and it kept it pretty glue-free. All right, so this tree, which has less string on it than the one we just made, I did take a blow dryer today and just put it on a low, cool setting. And it took me about 15 minutes just going around very evenly, and it dried. It was really pretty much completely dried. Otherwise, 24 hours, this should dry on its own. But if you're wanting to finish a little sooner, maybe make your second tree right away, because we do only include one cone, then the blow dryer works just fine. To take your dry one off, you're going to want to just carefully twist a little bit back and forth. That kind of loosens it. Be careful not to
Crush the cone?
yeah, crush the cone. Be careful not to try to pull the inside of the cone out too soon. You'll see it start to let go. Earlier, I actually took like I think a pen or something and used it to push out the styrofoam. So we're going to do that. All right, got that out. And there's my tree from earlier today. There's a little bit of glue in here that's easily kind of picked out if you had tweezers or something. It's really not very noticeable for the most part. Now we're going to add our embellishments. This is an example of what happens if your bottom gets a little bit off. You can see how it tilts a little bit, but really I just turn the tree and you can't tell. We've included some embellishments, some little rhinestones if you choose to use them. They are adhesive on the back, and you just want to be careful when you put them on. There's should be about 2 strips of these in here, one for each tree, and I just did about 2 to 3 on each side. So I did 2. I'm going to go 180 degrees, turn, so the complete opposite side, and I'm going to put a couple on there. It is harder when there's not as much string. We're not fighting the cat. The cat's here, so this is Miss Jingles.
Jingles, what do you think of the tree?
She wanted to come up here and see what was going on. But it is harder to find a spot to put the rhinestone when you don't have as much string. If the rhinestones fall off, you can always glue them on with hot glue gun if you want to. I'm just gonna add in a couple different places.
So overall, you're putting on approximately how many
About
rhinestones?
10 for each tree. It's about 10. Okay.
Okay, very cute.
And then I'm just going to turn on the light. I think there's a little piece of plastic that you have to pull out, but this one we've already done that with. And we have our complete tree.